My name is Clint. I'm currently a communications major at UTSA with a focus in digital media. Pretty undecided when it comes to minor, although I'm considering possibly a foreign language minor, but that remains to be seen. Post graduation, I hope to get involved with the JET program so that I could potentially teach abroad or even get like a position working like with a foreign embassy, which would be really neat. And I'm from Austin, Texas, and I've lived there my whole life, specifically in the Buda area. I was raised by my grandparents while my oldest brother was raised by my mom, and I attended Jack C. Hayes High School, and that kind of relates to my hero story since my academic hero story relates to uh, my days in journalism, which I was pretty heavily involved with my school's journalism program. uh, Basically from my sophomore year up till my senior year. And I just kind of got recruited on there because I guess I was a good writer. I think I did pretty all right. I'd always get a story out on time before the deadline. I'd always be there to take pictures of a game or some kind of event. And I was also always around to help out other staff members. And most notably, the yearbook would always be like late on deadline, so I'd often have to like help out with like finishing pages. So basically, due to my efforts, I ended up becoming the head news editor for the new online school website, which we were going to make basically during my senior year, and that was pretty neat. Had to like set up the whole site, and we that took about a month. And in that month, we had some like small stories lined up to like publish on the site, but we had yet to like publish a major article. So I decided that it would be a good idea to write about the creation of the new Buda Public Library, which meant quite a bit to me since it's a place I've been going to ever since I was like a toddler. So I began the process of creating that story by arranging interviews with various people that like worked at the library or people that I knew who went to the library or like volunteered there, like other high school students. But basically, the most informative interview, of course, was my interview with the head librarian. During my interview with the head librarian, I began my interview by asking her a couple of questions relating to her own personal career. And probably the most interesting thing I learned was that it doesn't really matter what your bachelor's degree is when you become a librarian, since you could basically just choose library sciences as your graduate master's degree and you're basically set to go. Doesn't really matter what your bachelor's is, since my since the librarian was originally a music major. She got her bachelor's in music, but that just got me thinking that maybe one day I could be a librarian if I ever decide to go to graduate school. So aside from that, I basically transitioned into asking her about the plans for the new library, and she said that the new library was basically made possible by a grant that was given from, I think it might have been from the government or maybe the state of Texas itself, but it was a pretty sizable grant. I think it was also paying for the creation of a new local park in the area. And she also told me that the library would be basically uh, just a mile down the street, which is pretty to be expected since it's a small area. But she also told me that it would be a community center for it would just be the location for a whole bunch of events and yeah, and most notably it it just simply be a bigger library with more facilities. That was all really neat. And of course, I asked her like what would happen to the old building, and she told me that it also be a bit of a community center, but it'd be used for like classes for people, like art classes. So I actually checked out one of the current classes that they're running now, and it seems to be doing pretty good. So after my interview, I promised the librarian that I would give her a link to the completed article, and so it took me about a week to write everything once I had gathered all the information. And I published a pretty good article. It's something I was really proud of. Got a lot of positive attention, and it was pretty informative, and uh, got a really nice reaction from the head librarian and the other library staff. They really appreciate it. It felt really nice to give appreciation to a location and a group of people that played a really vital role in my early life. I guess that's my hero moment. So in conclusion, my top 3 communication goals for this year is to, firstly, obtain a greater understanding of the various rhetorical methods. Second, I'd like to become better at critiquing the works of others by reviewing the works of my peers. And lastly, I'd like to further develop my professional writing skills by completing classwork such as essays, which I'm already pretty competent at, in my opinion. But yeah, whoever is watching this, I hope you have a great semester.